as of recently, TV has been pretty much all over the place. You have shows that are made of action scenes, they're focused on action-adventure. You have shows that are very much focused on nostalgia, something like Stranger Things as well, which I absolutely love. Sometimes it's a crime-related show, like maybe a serial killer-based show like You. But even You, which I absolutely love, it's basically Dexter. And it's basically something that we've essentially seen before, but they've kind of rearranged the concept and made something different out of it. But still is within the bounds of something that we've already seen. Even Sweet Pea kind of falls into that category as well. But when it comes to originality, a lot of shows have not been super original as of late. We've been seeing all these different shows, but it's very hard to find something that's truly original. Until recently, which I officially started watching a show that I have to say, after watching this first season, I will more than likely consider it amongst probably one of my favorite shows of all time. And that show is Severance. Now, before I go any further, I would like to let you guys know that I am officially just covering the first season. The first season of the show is what I'm covering as of right now. So anything that happens in Season 2, well, Season 2 hasn't officially ended, but by the time that you guys see this video, Season 2 will have been officially finished. So if you are watching this, then you're more than likely ready to see the finale of this show. And if you have seen the finale already of Season 2, don't spoil it because I'll still have to go through all of Season 2. But if you have not watched Season 1, please understand that I may be spoiling something here or there in this video. So if you do not want anything spoiled for you relating to Severance Season 1, understand that I may spill out some things that are spoilery. So avoid this video at all costs and only come back to it sometime later, because I'm really, really interested in kind of getting my thoughts out on what I think of this show. And if you really don't care about spoilers and want to be along for the ride, then please keep watching. So if you are the type of person who is interested in watching this show and you haven't officially watched it but want to get the general gist of it, Severance is nothing more than a story about people who go through a procedure called severance, which they essentially split their lives in two. Meaning your work life is going to always be your work life, and your personal life is always going to be your personal life. Those two worlds will not interact with each other, and who you are at work isn't necessarily who you are outside of work. So the people who are at work don't really know what they do. There's no sort of understanding of what's happening or what's, going on at work. And even then, they're not aware of what their outside selves are doing, which in the show they call it their outies, and the people who work inside the office are the innies. So the people who are severed while they're in the office are innies, and outside people, their personal lives are outies. And it's a really interesting concept. When you hear it out loud, it's like, okay, that's an interesting concept. But this show plays into so many different layers of what are the repercussions of having such a procedure that it's almost like the show is constantly reinventing itself every episode. And I just absolutely love that about this show. Every episode is in some way giving you a small drop of information. Even though it's a long episode, some people might be saying 45 minutes is too long. I think it's on slightly the shorter side, even though that the first couple of episodes of the season are about an hour long. They kind of reduce them to 45 minutes, which, okay, fine, but I wish that all the episodes were just straight up an hour long, so that you could get the full extent of what's going on and some other background storylines that could be, covered. But to me, that is like the least of my worries. Like, that is like, I would say, like, that's not even a complaint. That is just like a wish, because this show provides so much layers, so many layers, while it's, telling the story. You follow Mark, who is, this kind of lonely guy. His wife passed away, and, he kind of went through the procedure because he didn't want to separate, he didn't want to bring his personal life into work. So we kind of understand that about him. You have, Helly, who, is the first person we're introduced to in the series, which is incredible. And we follow her storyline, and she's kind of like, like a kick-ass character. She really does just, like, really wants to get the hell out of there as much as possible. And I feel like we kind of see why she wants to get out of it little by little, and what kind of, like, builds her up to be that type of person to just want to leave. We see Irving, who, is kind of this older gentleman who is kind of the rule follower. He kind of like sets the standard for everybody in the office, which is fantastic, because he kind of sets the tone for like how everybody should be treated, and how he's very proper and everything. So I mean, I feel like that character alone is fantastic, and he has a lot of mystery about him, specifically when it comes to his personal life as well, which we learn a little bit more about as time goes on. I think they're great on this show, absolutely fantastic. This conjecture of characters is fantastic. And we can't even forget to talk about Dylan. Dylan is kind of like, the potty mouth of the group. He gives off that sort of like nerd who knows about everything, and is kind of like, more than like open to telling people like, yeah, I don't really care about anything, or that sort of thing. So he kind of sets that personality standard for the show, and he's great as well. We get some really great moments with him, specifically when we find out that they can kind of access the Severance chip even from a long distance, which is completely mind-blowing to me. I didn't even expect that to be a thing on the show, and then when that happened, I was like, oh, this is much more deep than we think it is. Maybe these people are severed in other situations that we don't know about. So that is a really interesting concept, and maybe even the severance itself is more than just, like a bifurcation, and instead it's like more than that. Maybe there is other versions of certain characters that we haven't explored yet, as well. So I mean, it always asks that question, and I feel like that is what keeps me on my toes to see what is going to go next. On the very edge of my seat, I am like all in to see what is going to go, awry, or how they're going to get to a certain point in the story. And I feel like very few shows are capable of doing that, and this show is more than capable of doing that. And I feel like the entire cast as a whole is absolutely amazing. Adam Scott is amazing in this. John Turturro, I mean, who isn't happy to see John Turturro in anything nowadays? He's fantastic as well. You got Britt Lauer now, who is absolutely amazing on this show, kind of like expressing several forms of emotion. You have Zach Cherry as well doing Dylan, who's great, absolutely fantastic. And then you had like some surprise people who I didn't expect to see on the show. Christopher Walken was a complete surprise. I saw his name on the actual, casting, like in the opening credits. I had no idea who he was playing, and ultimately, it was a great surprise to see him and John Turturro's Irving kind of build a relationship. Absolutely amazing. And honestly, like, Patricia Arquette in this show is fantastic as well as Miss Coble, which I think, man, she's a very witchy character. My mom, when she was watching the show, and she was like, this woman could more than likely play a witch. And I was like, I think you're not far off, because I think she's already witchy as is. I mean, she's already dealing with kids, she kind of has a mysterious life, she kind of bows down and reveres this, Kier, as a whole. Man, like, she is very witchy, we'll say that. But great character as well, very menacing as well. And speaking of menacing, we have to talk about Milchick. Milchick is a very reassuring character, very much the character that you would probably see, I don't know, I mean, you only see that character existing if he was severed, but he is not severed. And it just makes the situation a whole lot more interesting that way. And kind of seeing how he operates on a day-to-day basis is very interesting. Specifically when, like, different protocols happen, or when they, set up a dance party. I mean, it's a very wide-ranging character. Milchick is a very wide-ranging character who probably has a few secrets of his own that we have yet to explore in future seasons, because I do expect this show to have more seasons, but this is a great character in and of itself. And Tramell Tillman, dude, this guy's fantastic as this character. And it's my first sort of, like, experience seeing this actor play out. He's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal, and I honestly can't wait to see more seasons of Severance with him in it. Now, I have to talk about, outside of the character list, I have to talk about the cinematography of this show. This show's cinematography is absolutely mind-blowing, and I hear rumors that Season 2's cinematography is even better, and if that's the case, then my God, this is going to be a mind-blowing experience to see, but definitely, the overall visuals of this show is phenomenal. The editing is amazing. Music choice is fantastic. The opening credit music, the theme music for the show, fantastic as well. Man, it's really hard to find something wrong with Severance, specifically when you see how many people have worked so hard to make this show a reality, specifically because the first season was entirely shot during the pandemic, and I mean, there's shots of, like, behind the scenes of them working with masks on and everything. So I mean, it's really interesting to see how hard people worked for the show and how well it turned out to be, which makes me even more excited for future shows, future iterations, maybe even like a spin-off show, maybe like an anthology series about other people who were severed, and how exactly that plays into, the world of Lumen and this, entire corporation that is. And I really can't wait to see what they pull off in future seasons. And honestly, saying this show is, like, made of pure roller coaster ride level emotions. There's gonna be moments where you're gonna be angry. There's moments where you're gonna be, like, really, like, laughing. I mean, it plays with your emotional state a lot. There's moments of shock as well where you're like, how did that happen? But I feel like what really stands out to me, episode by episode, is the fact that every episode ends with a cliffhanger. Every single episode ends with a cliffhanger, which forces you deep down to want to watch the next episode. And it's typically a cliffhanger of something that brings the story forward. And I feel like this would be a great opportunity for other shows to kind of learn on how to structure episodes, because you watch a 45-minute episode and it feels like it flies by because you're enjoying the episode, you're enjoying the information that's being presented to you. And that, to me, really is like a gold standard. That should be the gold standard of TV. No show should end on like an abrupt case where you're like, and then it ends, and it doesn't give you the want or need to see the next episode. A show has to want to build your anticipation. And that's what Severance does. It builds your anticipation episode by episode, which just wants you to make you want to watch more. And that's why, for me, I much rather wait for this entire series to just play out and then binge the episodes little by little, or like day by day, which is what we've been doing. We've been watching the show now literally like one episode a day. Yesterday we kind of broke with that thing and we watched 2 episodes because it's just that good and you want to know what's going to happen next. But it's a really well thought out concept, and it's very fleshed out and keeps you wanting to understand more about these characters and what they do, and the mystery just keeps getting deeper as you keep watching the show. You know, it's not like something is revealed and you don't want to watch. You want to keep watching. And that's the magic of Severance. But like I say in every single video that I put out, these are just my opinions. My opinions on Severance. And I want to hear from you. Have you seen Severance? Is Severance a show that you're interested in watching? Has your anticipation for wanting to watch Severance changed after watching my video? Hopefully it has, because I want more people to watch Severance. I want more people to be involved in watching this incredible show. And I really think, and this is just a complete side note here, I think Ben Stiller has officially solidified himself as a fantastic director. Specifically after watching this show, I have to say Ben Stiller is phenomenal at bringing, the best out in each individual actor. And that's absolutely fantastic, and I gotta give him all the props. And that ultimately is how I think of the direction of the show. But then again, I want to know from you, do you think Ben Stiller is a really good director? Have you seen any other works with Ben Stiller that would have, changed or piqued your interest a little bit differently? I don't know. I want to hear from you guys, what you guys think down below about Severance. And while you're down there, please make sure to hit the subscribe button and hit the bell to be notified when new videos go live on this channel. And thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next video.
Scrolling through YouTube, same old routine, then bam, movie savant, what a scene. Trivia bombshells dropping knowledge like rain. Forget the dishes, gotta watch it again. Movie buffs unite, savants to place. Subscribe and hit the bell, don't leave a trace. Next level knowledge keeps you in the loop. Savants got the scoop, ain't nothing to recoup.